Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are doing another project on the Mission Overland Summit, and this one has been kind of irking me for a while because Mission Overland does not include a water level indicator on their campers. I don't know why. Apparently they said they were going to be doing that in future campers, but they still have not delivered on that. If you have seen one of my previous videos, I did install a usage meter to show how much I have used, but I still can't tell how much is in the water tank. So that's what we're gonna do today, is install a water level meter so we can tell how much water we have as we go. I do want to point out that this was not an original thought of mine. This was actually a post by one of the owners on the Mission Overland Facebook group. A person by the name of Kyler actually came up with this, so thank you, Kyler. I give all the credit of this project to you. I'm just putting this in video form, so there you go. Let me go ahead and show you what parts and pieces and whatnot that we're using, and then just go ahead and get to work. So here we have the water level sensor. It has a couple wires that will go to the indicator, which is this piece here. So this is the actual gauge that we'll be installing. A little bit of wire, and here is the gauge itself. So it has a little connector there, so that's what you plug this into. But yeah, this actually has a water level gauge there. Tells you how much is in the tank, and these are matched on resistance. So you will see here on the front, this is 240 to 330 ohms, and that's matched to this water level indicator. So put that back, and then these screws are just stainless self-tapping screws that will hold this into the tank. And then this piece here is to cover up the top of the gauge there. And then I've got a couple of hole saws. So there's a 2-inch hole saw to put the gauge in, and then there's a 3-inch hole saw to install our water level sensor. So let me show you where this is all going to get installed. Alright, so this is looking into the camper from the back, and there is a cabinet here on the left that has a radio and a speaker, a heat outlet, stuff like that. The water tank on the Mission Overland Summit is in between the wheel wells, so it is basically right under this area, and you can see that the water fill and everything are right here, so the tank is right underneath of here. I'm just going by the Facebook post by Kyler. So what they did was drill a hole here and drop that sensor right there, and then run wires along here, and then installed the water level gauge right in this area. Might actually be in this area. This actually might be a better spot because this is a big empty cavity, so we'll probably install it here. So the first thing we're going to do, guys, is drill our hole in the floor right here. And what I'm going to do is use this 3-inch hole saw. So I'm going to start it with the middle piece. Let me show you. So I'm going to use this center bit that goes in like so, and then that'll get us started. And then what we'll want to do is take this out because I don't want it to go through the tank itself. And then I'll finish with this, and I'll have to go slowly to make sure that I don't make a huge hole in the water tank. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and drill in this corner here. Okay, so I went ahead and got the hole started there. So now I'm going to take out that center drill bit so we can get through the wood and then we'll get this all vacuumed out and take a look at it. Just to show you what I was talking about, I took out the center drill bit in the hole saw there, so when we're going through the wood, that drill bit won't go through the water tank once we get down to the bottom. So what I'm going to do is slowly drill through the wood and keep checking multiple times to make sure I don't make a huge hole in our water tank. So I'm going to go ahead and start drilling this. Alright guys, everything's cleaned up. So the next thing we need to do is drill a hole in the tank, and I've got this little set from Harbor Freight with these step bits. So we'll use this big step bit to make a hole that's big enough for the float valve to fit through. So yeah, we'll use this guy to make a hole, and I'll try to vacuum it as I'm drilling so we don't get any shavings in the bottom of the tank. Okay, we got the hole drilled in the tank. You can see it there. So we need to get the new level sensor here installed. Crap. I do want to point out before you get this installed to put the rubber gasket on there, so you won't be able to put it on once you get it in there. Okay guys, now that we have the float valve installed, what I'm going to do is use these these are stainless self-tapping screws, and I'm going to go ahead and screw this down into the tank. And then once I get that done, what I'm going to do next is push the tank down a little bit, because there is a little bit of a gap there, and I'm going to silicone around this hole so we don't get any water up and touching this area here, or getting any water up in this area. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put these screws in, silicone around the hole, and then we'll go to the next step. All right guys, I got that all sealed up. I don't know if you can see that, but got it all sealed up. So now what I'm going to do is put this little cover on it so this isn't just exposed all the time. Got this little cover. This will go over the top of it, and then you can spin that open to let the wire go through. So we'll go ahead and stick that in there. Okay, I got that black plastic cover in, but not really, because it doesn't actually fit. So it's just kind of sitting there for now. Not sure what I'm going to do about that. Maybe I'll just take it off and forget it. But anyway, now we just need to run the wire. So this piece has 2 wires, so we need to run 2 wires from there around through here, and then there's a little chase right here where a bunch of wires go through, and then we just need to take the converter out of here so I can get the wire into here, and then we'll wire it to a switch here so we can turn the gauge on and off, and then we'll just install the gauge here. So first thing I'm going to do is go get some wire, and then I'll take this out and run our wire all the way around. Alright guys, don't do as I did. This is still charging and there's open wires here, so don't do that. But I'm going to run 2 wires through here, through there, and into the cabinet, and then we'll run that up to kind of this area, because those 2 wires need to connect directly to the gauge, and then we need to run some wires from the gauge up to this switch here. Mission Overland was nice enough to leave 2 extra switches. This one, if you watch my previous videos, this one goes to an outdoor awning light already, so we have 1 switch left, so we'll use that for our gauge to turn it on and off to see where we're at on water level. Alright guys, so here's our wire here. Goes through that little hole in the corner, through this wire chase that was already there, into this cabinet. Now we've got our wire to splice onto that guy. Okay, so here's what I'm going to be using. I already had these disconnects here. I don't exactly need to disconnect this wire ever, but I already had this and I didn't really have any butt connectors left, so I do have these blades which slide right into these disconnects, so if I ever need to, I can disconnect it. So yeah, yep, I don't have any butt connectors left in there, so we'll just go ahead and use these, and then you can use these lineman's pliers things and splice the wires together. So I'll go ahead and do that and show you what the end result is here, and we'll go ahead and zip tie the wire down. So yeah. Okay, I lied, I did have a couple of butt connectors left, so I went ahead and used those. So you can see we've got the wire spliced here. The wires that come out of the gauge or the sensor are brown and blue, and the wire I've got is red and black, so we'll just have to remember that brown is red when we go to connect this at the gauge. So I'm going to go ahead and get all this zip tied down here, and then we'll move on to the gauge installation. Alright, so we got the wire all ran, zip tied down. So now we'll go ahead and install, or at least make a hole for our gauge. So what we're going to use is a 2-inch hole saw and drill a hole right through here. I went ahead and verified there's no wires in the way, so we don't drill through anything. So I'm going to go ahead and drill this hole, and then we'll get that gauge installed. Alright, since everything in here is aluminum, it was easy to drill through, and I've got a mess everywhere, so I'm going to have to clean up. But hopefully the gauge fits. It does say that it's a 2-inch hole, so make sure here. Might have to ream that out a little bit. Oh, nope, there we go. That time it went in. Got a bunch of goop for my fingers on there. But yeah, there we go. There's our water gauge. So now we need to get everything wired up with our wiring harness. So again, there's wires, there's instructions that come with it, but there's wires that go, there's a backlight, and there's power to this gauge, as well as the wires that go to the sensor. So we'll wire 2 wires up to our power here, and then we'll wire our wires up to the one that we ran for the sensor. Alright guys, everything has been hooked up. You can see our new meter. It's hooked up to this switch here. Everything is hooked up here, so basically the positive from this goes up to the switch, and then the negative from this and the level meter is hooked up to the battery negative. You do have to remember in the Mission Overland Summit that the white cable is actually the negative. So I just used a quick splice here. I don't always like to use these, but this was the closest battery negative I had, so we just hooked it up to there. We'll just kind of hide. Now I wish that I would have went underneath of the charging cable there, but anyway, so yeah, this is hooked up. So we'll go ahead and push the switch, and you'll see that it will calibrate itself, go through some lighting, and now it's back at 0 there. So now we can give it a try and maybe put some water in it. It's still spring here in Colorado, so I don't know if I want to hook up my hose. It might actually partially be frozen, but we'll try to pour some water in there and see if we can test this out. Okay, sorry about the motorcycle noise, but my neighbors like to just rev their motorcycles in the driveway and never drive them anywhere. So anyway, I'm filling up with water, and we'll see. Apparently I need to shut this first. I haven't been running it too long, and it says it's a quarter full, so we'll have to see. It's moving up pretty quickly. We'll have to see how much water actually goes in. It's supposed to be like 37 gallons or something, but okay, so the gauge says it's full, and I guarantee it's not. Oh, well, maybe it is. Yeah, well. Yep, I guess it is full, so I'm full of crap, because it is full. So, damn, a lot more accurate than I thought. So let's go ahead and use some water, or I guess I'll just drain it, see what it looks like. Actually, let's shut it off, because it does use power. I wonder... Yeah, it still shows it's... So it, you know, it uses the resistance from the gauge over there. So we'll see what it looks like when I drain some out. Okay, so I'm draining some water. I don't want to run the plumbing system because it still freezes around here at night, so I don't want to run any water through the pipes. So we'll just drain it back out here and see what we get. Okay guys, I think we have success. So we have the gauge wired up to this switch. There's a ground behind here, and then we have wire running through this cabinet, and then we installed the level meter there. I still have to figure out this cover because it didn't exactly fit in the hole, even though it said it would. Yeah, and got the wire zip tied along there, installed the gauge, and then I just filled that hole, not filled it, but I kind of sealed that hole up with some it's like an RV sealant. What's that stuff called? I don't even know. Here it is. This ProFlex stuff, because it's made to be outside, you know, crazy temperature, stuff like that. So kind of sealed that hole up a little bit, and yeah, so cool little modification to the camper. I really wish Mission Overland would have done this from the beginning, but they didn't, so we had to do it ourselves as a community, because once again I didn't think of this myself. So my wife is just using the water there to water some plants, so we're just emptying it in the bucket and kind of seeing what each line is on the gauge. Basically each line on the gauge would be 5 gallons or so from what I can tell. But so shout out to Kyler on the Mission Overland Facebook page for this modification. I never would have thought of doing this without you, so thank you so much. Now it's just in video form, so there you go. Well, thanks guys for watching. Please check out my other videos. I got a lot of other videos on the Mission Overland Summit. I should have some more camping videos coming up soon. I wasn't able to go out this winter, unfortunately, but yeah, hopefully next winter, I guess, maybe we can go out and do some winter camping. So if you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comments below. And yeah, make sure you check out my other videos. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.